and welcome back to Pseudo Gameplay TV for another character analysis. We're returning again to the Rise of Phoenix X-Men expansion pack, and the second character which you unlock, who we'll be having a look at today, is none other than everyone's favorite Cajun, Gambit. Now, Gambit he's been around for a little while. He first debuted in the comics in 1990, late summer, so in July and August is when he first debuted in Uncanny X-Men Annual 14, as well as Uncanny X-Men 266. And he's been quite the heartthrob and sought-after character ever since then. And who can blame him? He's got quite a bit of charm. Amongst his abilities that he has been known for, he has had access to foresight via tarot cards, kinetic energy manipulation, thermal manipulation, space-time manipulation, and energy physiology. And he did have a couple of unique abilities while he had the death attribute, such as transmutation of substances into acid or poison, trajectory curving, corruption, and death charge. However, his base form, which is how he is portrayed in this iteration of the game, grants him his standard set of abilities, which is kinetic conversion and acceleration, self-charging, static generation, as well as having superhuman charm and being a skilled card thrower, as you can see by him proudly displaying the 10 of Hearts right here. In terms of the abilities that Gambit has access to, he's really a powerhouse character, and I've had a lot of fun working with him in preparation for this video. The abilities that he has here is the first, he has Luck of the Draw, where he sets explosive cards in front of him that he can detonate with his other explosive attacks and abilities. So kind of a similar mine type field that we've seen from other character special attacks such as Elektra, Punisher, and a few others. However, this one has the unique ability to where it is not reliant on a timer and you can set them off at your leisure. The second attack which he has is the Kinetic Burst, where he strikes the ground with the charged staff, and this releases explosive energy. This is one of the more powerful attacks in Gambit's arsenal, which I highly recommend using on basically any moveset. The third ability which he has access to is the Deadly Deal. This is one of those Fury type attacks where as long as you mash the attack button that it's bound to, you can continue to throw these explosive cards out in front of the character. It does drain your EP gauge pretty quickly, but all things considered, it's a pretty reliable move. The fourth and final attack and ability that he has is the Dangerous Ground, where he creates an energy field that causes and deals continuous damage, and it also causes a slowing effect on the enemies in the area where it's affected. It's a pretty wide range, and I've found it highly beneficial to throw down one of these fields every so often and then continue to run up your other attacks. Now, in terms of synergies that Gambit has, he doesn't have a whole lot. He has 3 synergies that are unique to him, and those synergies are fulfilled by having Spider-Man, Iron Fist, and Phoenix on the team. But without further ado, let's jump into the expansion rift, read through the rift requirements in order to unlock the character, and then we will jump into a 200 style rift and showcase what he looks like in action. So once we're over here in the Gauntlet menu of the Rise of Phoenix expansion pack, we'll need to select the level 30 stacked deck Gauntlet Run to show what is required to unlock Gambit. It's a pretty straightforward rift. The first one is a fight against Elektra. It's the same kind of rift that you would see normally through the regular story quest, so nothing super special there. The quirk here is there are 30 seconds on the clock, but you can earn more time by defeating enemies that pop up throughout the quest. And the stronger the enemy is, the more time is rewarded for destroying or defeating that enemy. The second quest, which you'll have to go through, is defeating Bullseye and Claw. In this quest, the abilities and synergies deal more damage, but other attacks deal less. So you will want to rely more on the special attacks and characters who can lay down a little bit more constant fire. I found Miles Morales being very helpful for this quest, as he can lay down an electrifying field, which deals amped up damage beyond what it already is known for. The EP will recover a bit quicker. Additionally, once you clear this quest, your health will be restored to each of the characters in your party by a certain amount. The third and final portion of this gauntlet that you will need to do in order to have access to the character is fighting Gambit. It's a pretty straightforward fight. You have 5 minutes. If you focus on him and burst him down, you really shouldn't have any trouble with that. The danger room hazards are noteworthy, but at the end of the day, it's pretty simple, and as long as you've got a team that you've gone through the main storyline quest with, you really shouldn't have any issues getting through this particular rift. But let's jump into a 200 style enemy rift and showcase what Gambit looks like in action. And I really like him, and I believe that you will too. So something important to note about Gambit is he is a fairly agile fighter. He does possess a double jump. His falling aerial is a very wide area of effect explosion type attack that deals quite a bit of damage and even knocks down the smaller grunt type opponents that you are prone to run into. His melee attack sequence is actually one of the more extended combos in the game, where it's actually 7 different hits as you continue to hit the standard attack button. And finally, his heavy attack also deals a fair amount of knockdown, and it will go out in a ray out in front of him and knock down the different characters that it comes in contact with. It deals a fair amount of damage as it goes as well, especially if characters are caught between 2 of the blasts. Moving on to his special abilities here, we first have Luck of the Draw, which you'll see here are cards that get laid out on the battlefield. They will stay active there until they are detonated by an energy type or explosion type attack. Now your other teammates can also detonate these cards, and they will just kind of persist there until they become fully detonated. But they're quite useful to just kind of throw out and deal a fair amount of stagger damage to some of the larger opponents that you'll come across. His second attack, the Kinetic Burst, is quite powerful. It deals substantial amounts of damage to all enemies in the vicinity, and it's one that you should find yourself using pretty frequently. The Deadly Deal is his third attack. It's one of those attacks that you can just kind of mash, and you'll see that he throws out a bunch of cards pretty rapidly. It will drain your EP bar, so do keep that in mind, as it's not the most useful of spammable attacks, but it can burst down larger groups of enemies when they're in close to medium range. His fourth and final attack, which you should definitely be dishing out pretty consistently, is the Dangerous Ground, where he'll kind of lay down these circular fields, which deal persistent damage and create a slow effect on the opponents in the affected area. So do keep that in mind, as it's highly useful and more efficiently a damage over time tool. Now in terms of his ultimate attack, he will affect an wide area around him as he throws down cards, and then causes the whole affected area to explode with that kinetic energy. So, in terms of using Gambit on a team dynamic, the best strategy that I've found is you will want to set up as many of these dangerous ground circles that you can to deal damage and buy yourself a little bit of some extra time. And then even follow it up with some of these kinetic burst type attacks, as they are very substantial damage dealing attacks and can get your entire team out of a bind if you are found in a bit of a pinch, especially with large groups of enemies. And you just saw the damage that was dealt out there by the kinetic burst here. So Gambit is a highly effective character. He's a ton of fun to play and use. So, I mean, in terms of this expansion pack, I think he's the one that I've had the most fun with so far. So make sure you, if you have purchased the DLC, that you give him a shot, because I'm sure that you'll really enjoy having him in the team dynamic as well. We'll be back on Monday with our next character analysis. As stated from the previous video, that will be Cable. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because you really don't want to miss any of these character analysis and other videos that I will be doing for Marvel Ultimate Alliance once we've come to the conclusion of the currently available DLC characters. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed, and you have a fantastic rest of your day.